What is going on, everyone? We have a fun six-game NBA slate tonight on this Tuesday night slate. Quite honestly, this is probably my favorite slate of the season so far. Even though it's only six games, I was able to find a ton of bets that I absolutely love. Granted, that doesn't mean I'm going to win every single bet today. I have a bunch of slates where I absolutely hate the board. I struggle to find plays. We only come out with like two or three, and then we win every single one of them. And then we have slates like this one where I love it. I think I'm seeing it clearly. Everything just lines up perfectly for me. And then we get into the slate and we end up going like 1-4 or something. It's just the variance of it. But we've been really hot to start the NBA season. We've profited every single night except for one. So basically almost an entire week straight at this point of profits in the NBA. We cashed a nice slip in the NFL last night as well. CeeDee Lamb respects the coin just as much as Austin Reeves does for us. Before I get into the plays, a couple quick housekeeping items like normal. Number one, if you want to join the free Discord, link to join is in the description below. Number two, I do a lot of free content like these YouTube videos, posts on X, live streams on TikTok and Twitch and things like that. But if you want to see all of my slips, like every single thing that I'm actually betting, so a screenshot of all of my bets, including a long write-up for every single one of these plays with an explanation why I'm picking these plays, you have to sign up for the VIP. And if you want a 7-day free trial for VIP, you can use the link located below and you'll get a 7-day free trial for that. Or if you sign up with Underdog Fantasy, and if you don't have an account with Underdog Fantasy and you use my code LayTheHouseRM, or use the link below when you sign up and deposit, send me a screenshot on either Discord or X or wherever. Just send me a DM after you deposit with my code. I'll send you a link to a 3-month free trial for VIP. That gets you all the way through up until the end of NFL season and almost to the NBA All-Star break too. So just a promotion I'm going to be running from now probably up until Thanksgiving. Once Thanksgiving comes and Black Friday, I'll probably have some different deals out there for you guys. But if you want 3 months free of VIP, sign up with Underdog Fantasy using my promo code or the link in the description below. And last, but definitely not least, before I get into the plays, I'm using Outlier.bet. This is my favorite research tool out there. I'm repping their hat today. They sent me a hat a couple days ago, so I promised I'd wear it on a couple of videos. But basically, I use this website or app every single day. It's saved me so much time over the last 2 or 3 years here of, finding these trends, looking through the player cards. It's honestly worth every single penny. But if you want a 7-day free trial for that, there's also a link below. Okay, so let's get into the plays. I have 5 regular plays and then 3 parlay fillers, but a couple of the parlay fillers and goblin plays overlap with the regular plays. So we'll jump into it. The video is going to be probably a little bit longer than some of these other ones because there are a lot of plays that I like on this slate. And, quite honestly, like I said, this slate is my favorite one of the season so far. But let's jump into it here. We'll start with the later game, actually. So we'll start with SGA under 43.5. Now, if you guys have been following me for a while, I love this prop. The SGA unders have been absolute money for us the last couple of seasons, but what is the reasoning behind it? So Chet Holmgren is active today, so I need to filter for games while Chet Holmgren is playing. And then on the road at LA, which, Leonard might sit, Bradley Beal might sit. This game could turn into a blowout, but that's besides the point here. I don't really try to predict blowouts by any means. But anyways, sorting for away games, looking at last season, he went under this number in 19 out of 24 away games with Chet Holmgren active. This season, it's only been 3 games, but he's gone under in 2 out of the 3 games too. And yes, I've bet him every single time. Basically, this trend the last couple of years, SGA on the road with Chet Holmgren playing has been money. So I'm going to keep riding it. A lot of these were actually like games where Oklahoma got up a decent amount early in the game and SGA sat a little bit, but like I said, I'm not in the business to predict blowouts. I just follow the trends, and I have been loving this trend the last 2 seasons. Next play, we're going to head over to Tyrese Maxey over on the Sixers, over 40.5 PRA. His line's actually 38.5 on Underdog Fantasy. I bet by the time tip-off comes, they'll get more in line with market and make it 40.5 for his PRA. But basically, he is second in the league in scoring right now, just behind Antetokounmpo. But he's also averaging 9 assists per game. If we sort for games with Embiid this season and without Paul George, because that's what the Sixers are going to be looking like tonight, he's gone over this number in all 4 games this year. Oh, hang on, I don't know why it's Oh, I have everything checked off. There we go. So he's gone over this number in all 4 games this year, averaging 47.8 PRA. Looking at last year, there was only 1 game in this situation, but he had 50 PRA. So, this just seems like a spot, with Embiid in and Paul George out, where Maxey just takes on the load. He's essentially the main guy on the team. He does a bit of everything. You see, he's got 28 or more points, 26 or more points in every single one of these games. 6 assists up to 14 assists. Like, he's just being totally involved. He has the upside for a triple double, surprisingly, and definitely a double double opportunity here. But I just like the spot for Maxey. We've been on this most of the season, and he's looking absolutely lights out. Jared McCain might return tonight, but I don't think that affects Maxey too much. Might dock like 1 or 2 minutes from Maxey, but I think this 40.5 number is still a little bit too low. I think it probably should be up near like 42.5, maybe even like the 43 number. But we'll just keep taking it up until they start taking this number up even higher. Moving on to my third bet. This is a PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy only play. The next 3 are actually only on PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy. But like I mentioned before, if you're not on either of those, sign up using the code below, and I can give you a free trial for stuff. But it's Miles Bridges over 15.5 field goal attempts. So for this season, he's gone over this number in 5 out of 7 games overall. Last season was only 61% of the time, but I want to filter for games without Brandon Miller, because Miller is going to be out for a while here. And he's gone over this number in the 4 out of the 5 games this season without Miller, never going below 15, but ending up with 16 a few times. Looking at last year, he went over this number 68% of the time as well. But we actually have something interesting tonight. So LaMelo Ball actually might be out. He is questionable, and if he is out, this play becomes like almost a lock. He was out the other day where Bridges had 18 field goal attempts in a blowout against I think it was the Jazz. Yeah, blowout against the Jazz. Last season, he went over this number 17 out of 23 games without Miller and without LaMelo. So if we do get LaMelo out, this line's not going to be 15.5 anymore. It probably will go up to like 16.5 or 17. So I'm going to jump on it early. I'm going to hope that LaMelo's out. And if LaMelo's out, this becomes a lock. But if LaMelo is in, it's still a really good play too. And that's why I want to jump on it now instead of later on, right before tip off or when we get the LaMelo news. Next play, we're going to head over to my favorite props, the first half props, which I love. First off, we're going to start with Porzingis. He was a first half beast last year. As I talk about every single one of these videos, when you're betting these first half props, you have to wait until later in the day around like 3-4 o'clock when Underdog Fantasy releases their lines for it, because a lot of times they're going to be different than PrizePicks. Porzingis is 13.5 on PrizePicks right now. It's possible that Underdog releases him at like 12.5. Also possible they release it at like 14.5. There usually is like a point or so difference between the two sites. So you always want to shop around and just get the best number. So I always wait on these first half lines, but they are some of my favorite markets in all of sports. Porzingis, he's been a first half beast the last couple of seasons. This season, he's gone over in all 5 games, averaging 16.8 first half PRA per game. Last year, he went over 66% of the time, but you see he tailed off towards the end of the season after an injury. So I'm kind of going to throw out the sample size of the last 10 games or so. It was basically money for like 80% of the season last year for the most part. And Trae Young is out tonight. He's going to be out for a little bit for the Hawks. And in the 2 games without Trae Young, Porzingis is averaging 17 first half PRA. He plays about 13 to 15 minutes or 14 to 15 minutes in the first half. So he's not going to play a ton, but he is very productive in these minutes. As you can see, almost getting a double-double last game in the first half against the Cavs. So Porzingis over 13.5 first half PRA. We're going to stick with the same game and go with another first half play, and it's Franz Wagner over 10.5 first half points. He's been on fire to start this season. He has actually been lights out. He's been shooting the ball a ton, taking a lot of usage. He's gone over this number in all 7 games this year, averaging 16.6 first half points. That's not sustainable. That's not going to continue. But I am just going to keep riding the hot hand while he does. Maybe he is going to be a first half beast the entire season, but I would expect PrizePicks to Underdog to start making his line like 12.5 if he keeps doing this, which at 12.5, it's a little bit more of a question mark, but it's still solid. He had 14, 18, 19, 20 most of these games. And looking at last season too, he was actually really good in the first half as well, going over in 62% of games of overall. Filtering for games without Mo Wagner, it goes to 61%, and then go into away games again, it goes back up to 68% of the time. So Maybe he is just the first half beast and we just haven't been on it the last couple of years. But this is definitely a trend that I want to ride this season just because he has been on absolute fire to start off. But like I said, wait for Underdog Fantasy. I doubt they'll come out with anything lower than 10.5. But if they do, we'll want to jump on it. And also, it matters like if you get like a payout boost on Underdog or PrizePicks or something, you want to make sure you're taking advantage of all the boosts that you get to. So that's all the straight plays, all the straight bets. I guess I'll stick on Franz Wagner here because he is one of my parlay fillers tonight. So for the parlay fillers and Green Goblin plays, these are the alternate lines. And how I play these is I parlay them either all together. So I only have three of them today. So I'll do like a three-man parlay of these three alternate lines. And it kind of comes out to around even money typically. But my favorite way to do it is with the promos and just with the straight bets. So say you get a promo, today is Tuesday. PrizePicks is going to give us Taco Tuesday today. You should always take one of these Goblin plays and combine it with the Taco Tuesday discount. As long as the Taco Tuesday discount is like worth taking, that's also a whole other conversation. Not all of them are worth taking, but when there is one that is worth taking, you should always combine it with one of these Goblin plays because that's just a free double up for you. So especially if you're trying to build a bankroll up, you can put usually 25. I think some people could put $30 on the Taco Tuesday. So you'll go $30 with the Taco Tuesday discount combined with Franz Wagner over 24.5 PRA. I win these a little bit over 90% of the time. Typically, NBA this year has actually been like 85%. So a little bit less than normal, but I haven't lost one of these in the NFL in like since like week 5. So we're on a crazy stretch there. But anyway, that's the way you should play these alternate lines and these Goblin plays on PrizePicks or whatever other sites you're using. But Wagner over 24.5 PRA, kind of the same trend as the first half. He's gone over this number all 7 games this year, 31.6 PRA per game. Last season went over 92% of the times. Filtering for games without Mo Wagner, it goes to 93%. Filtering even further to away games, it goes to 89%. But it was 17 out of 19 last year and 4 for 4 this year. So it's 21 out of 23 games on the road last 2 seasons without Mo Wagner, where Franz Wagner's going over 24.5 PRA, averaging about 33 PRA per game. So 24.5 is just, it's a solid number. And it's, like I said, it's a Goblin. It's an alternate line. It's not something that you're going to be betting a crap ton of money on. Another one that I'm on, the Tyrese Maxey, I'm actually on his Goblin line too and his straight line. So same as before, without Embiid or without Paul George, with Embiid. I talked about this before, but same trend holds and you're just getting a discounted number on it. So 29.5 is a solid number. You can do both those on PrizePicks. If I had to pick a favorite, it probably would be I don't know, it's close. Let's see. So if we look at just games without Paul George for Maxi, yeah, I'd probably go to Wagner. If I had to pick one of the two, I'd go Wagner, and then I'd go Maxi, and then I'll go with this third one, which is Zion over 19.5 points. Now he's been a beast at home the last couple of seasons, so that's the main reasoning behind this. But last season he went 11 out of 12 going over this 19.5 number at home, almost every single time, averaging 25.3 points per game. This year, only one home game, but he had 27 points. Now, it's always a question mark with Zion. Is he going to get hurt in the first 5 minutes or get hurt or anything? But honestly, I ignore that kind of stuff. You can't predict injuries, and it's, even tougher to predict an injury as compared to predicting a blowout. And, I'm not in the business to predicting things like that. I just follow the trends, follow my numbers, and that's why I like the Zion play, averaging 25.4 points per game at home the last 2 seasons. But the Hornets are getting absolutely destroyed by the big men this year. Markkanen put up 29 against them. Julius Randle put up 30. Banchero put up 20. You even had guys like Rudy Gobert scoring 14 points. Bam Adebayo 26. Alex Sarr 23. Wendell Carter 18. Nasri 8. Like, they are just getting destroyed near the basket. And so I think Zion's going to have a pretty solid game going over this 19.5 points total. I considered betting, I'm just going to talk about this just because I'm here, but I actually considered betting Missy. I don't know, can't pronounce his first name. Yves, maybe? Missy, over on the points and rebounds. I think it was I liked. Maybe it was the alternate line. Yeah, I looked at the alternate line for Missy's points and rebounds simply because of this matchup against Charlotte. And this could be something that you want to take. I'm probably not going to, but he's gone over it all 5 games this year. He's on a 19 out of 20 stretch, actually 19 games in a row, going over this number going back to last year. So I wouldn't fault you for taking this one if you are afraid of taking Zion, but I definitely want to take advantage of this easy front court matchup against the Hornets. To wrap it up, you want to rank the plays overall. We have the SGA under, we have the Maxi over, Bridges over on the field goal attempts, Porzingis and Wagner first half plays. I'd say my favorite play today is the SGA under. That's usually my favorite play on the slate, followed by Maxi and Bridges. They're probably equal there. And if we get the news that LaMelo Ball is out, that Bridges play just becomes a total lock. Like you're not going to get that 15.5 number if LaMelo Ball gets ruled out. And then obviously the first half plays, they're always, pretty solid. And I'll usually have a slip or two with each one of them. Like I mentioned before, today is a slate that I like a lot. I do have a lot of plays on it, so it doesn't mean I'm betting more money. That just means I'm diversifying a bit more, having a bit more slips out there, and just more combinations of everything. But I generally bet the same amount of money every single day for every slip, just because that's how you control your bankroll, stay disciplined, and just kind of keeps you alive longer in the long term too. It's a long season, and you don't want to blow all your money on a slate that you think you like, and then variance hits against you, and you end up losing all the bets, and then you lose all of your money. But hopefully you like this video. If you do like it, subscribe to the channel and drop a like on the video as well. Join the free Discord. Link is in the description below. And best of luck on your bets tonight, everybody. Thanks for watching.